There's a moment in every man's life when the universe taps him on the shoulder and whispers, "Hey buddy, brace yourself. It's about to get interesting." For me, that moment came with the scent of overpriced perfume and a reservation I never made. Ashley, my wife, at least on paper, had texted me that morning. "Dinner tonight. 7 p.m. Le Pave. Need to talk. Please don't be late." Now, let's get one thing straight. Le Pave is not the kind of place you talk, and unless your definition of talking involves sipping wine that costs more than your car payment. But I went, dressed in a blazer I hadn't worn since my cousin's wedding/breakup, thinking maybe, just maybe, this was the olive branch we'd been avoiding. She was already there when I walked in, and she wasn't alone. He was seated next to her like he'd always belonged there. Tall, slick, wearing a black button-down shirt that fit a little too well, like it had been tailored by narcissism itself. His hair was the kind that didn't move. Gravity, humility, and wind had clearly given up on it. Ashley glanced up at me, not sheepish, not sorry, just poised. "Logan," she said, motioning to the empty seat across from them. "This is Chase. From work." Ah, that Chase. The mentor. The creative partner. The guy who always found a way into our dinner conversations, text threads, and her Spotify playlists. I'd heard the name more than my own the past few months. I sat down. Not because I wanted to, but because I was curious, like a man slowing down for a car crash he already knows ends badly. Chase smirked. One of those, I already won smirks. I hated it. He leaned in, voice smooth like elevator jazz. "Let's keep this simple, Logan. You've got two options." My eyebrow raised. "Do tell." "Leave quietly," he said, or face me like a man. "Now, I know what you're thinking." No, I didn't leap across the table or toss wine in anyone's face. But I did smile. Not the happy kind. The kind of smile you flash when you realize the joke's on them, and you just found the punchline. Ashley looked relieved. Too relieved. Like she'd rehearsed this scene in her head a dozen times. What they didn't know was that I hadn't come to plead for her back. I had come to listen. And now, I had everything I needed. Because here's the truth, that wasn't the beginning of the affair. That was the final scene. And the credits? They were just getting started. I didn't storm out of that restaurant. Nope. I stood, adjusted my collar, and left like I was walking away from a sales pitch I didn't need. Not because I wasn't angry, but because anger is loud. And I've found that quiet makes people nervous. Ashley didn't chase after me. Chase didn't gloat. They didn't need to. They thought it was done. That was their first mistake. See, I'm not the kind of man who unravels. I document. I file. I strategize. And that night, as I drove home with the windows down and the silence louder than the wind, I started assembling a puzzle I didn't know I'd been collecting for months. Funny thing about betrayal, once you see it, you start seeing it everywhere. Like the Wednesday nights she stayed late for strategy meetings. Or the gym membership she bought in January but never mentioned again after March, right around when she started showering before coming home. Not after. Before. Even our dog didn't greet her the same anymore. Bruno used to lose his mind when she came in the door. Lately, tail wagged half-heartedly, like he'd been let in on the secret too. That night, the house felt colder. Not physically. Spiritually. I walked into our bedroom. It was spotless. Bed made. Corners tucked. Her perfume lingered like it was trying too hard to stay relevant. And then I noticed it. A second scent. Not cologne. Presence. The kind of smell that says another man was here. I sat down, hands steepled, replaying that dinner in my head. Chase's smug tone. Ashley's forced neutrality. Her half-hearted attempts to look hurt, like a woman crying at a funeral for someone she secretly hated. My phone buzzed. "Ashley, you didn't have to make a scene. You embarrassed yourself." I smiled. Not the kind of smile that means you're okay. The kind that says, "I've officially clocked in." "And you? You're now the job." And then, I stood up, walked to her closet, her vanity, her tablet, her private drawer, and I started collecting. Not revenge. Not yet. Just receipts. Because if she thought that dinner was closure, she didn't know the meaning of a real ending. It's wild how fast "maybe I'm paranoid" turns into "I should have trusted my gut." I was never the snooping type. Not because I'm noble, just because I always believed if you go looking for snakes, you'd better be ready to get bit. But that night, I wasn't scared of the bite. I was hunting. Her tablet was the first clue. No passcode. Not because she was careless, but because she thought I was. I opened the photo gallery, and there it was. A picture of her, half-dressed, smirking in a hotel mirror. Different city. Date stamped last weekend. She told me she was in Sacramento for Lacey's baby shower. Sacramento? Huh? I zoomed in on the towel hanging in the background. Gold embroidery. Hotel Valino. Palm Springs. Not even close. Next were the texts. She didn't delete them. Just archived the thread like it was a grocery list she didn't want to forget. Chase. You left your earrings in the car. I keep them in the glove box like a little trophy. Ashley. Stop it. You know I can't see you again till Thursday. Logan's starting to notice. Notice? No. Logan was starting to build a case. I took screenshots. Sent them to my work email. Made backups on a flash drive I'd once used for wedding anniversary videos. Irony's a cold comfort, but I'll take it. Next up, the closet. Hidden behind a wall of neutral sweaters, Ashley's wife armor was a shoebox she thought I'd never touch. Inside? A keycard. Same hotel. A receipt. Same weekend. And because Karma's a punctual guest, a handwritten note from Chase. Next time, no more pretending. You're mine now. Pretending? That part hit me harder than I'd expected. Because when your marriage turns out to be a stage play, suddenly, every moment feels scripted. Our vacations. Our fights. Even the I love yous whispered half asleep. I sat on the bed, her tablet in one hand, the receipt in the other, like I was balancing the scales of a life I didn't recognize anymore. The door creaked open. Ashley stepped in. You're still up? She asked casually, like I was just fighting insomnia, not cradling the corpse of our marriage. I looked at her, dead in the eyes, and said, How was Sacramento? She blinked. Pause. Twitch. Then smiled like a chess player who thinks she still has pawns left. It was cute, she said, setting her purse down. Lots of baby talk. Cute. Cute like a root canal in a burning building. I didn't respond. I just stood, handed her the receipt, and watched her read it. Watched the color leave her face like a tide pulling back before a tsunami. She didn't deny it. Didn't cry. Didn't beg. She just sighed. And that's when I knew. She was never sorry for the betrayal. Only sorry she got caught. She folded the receipt like it was a napkin, like it didn't just nuke whatever version of our marriage was still flickering in her head. I was going to tell you, Ashley said softly. I tilted my head. When? Before or after I picked up the dry cleaning you left in Chase's back seat? She flinched. Not because of the dry cleaning comment. I made that part up, but because she knew I wasn't bluffing anymore. She sat down on the edge of the bed. That same edge I used to kiss her goodnight from. Now it looked like a stranger's seat in a waiting room. You want me to explain? No, I said, calm as a lake that's about to drown someone. I want you to stop thinking there's a version of this where I nod and forgive you like a good little sitcom husband. Her eyes darted toward the closet, probably wondering what I'd found, or worse, what I hadn't found yet. I wasn't going to give her that comfort. Let her stew. Let her guess. Let her live in the same ambiguity she served me for the past year. I never meant to hurt you, she muttered, staring at the floor. Of course. The cheater's national anthem. That's what they all say right before filing for joint custody and asking if they can keep the dog you named. I didn't scream. Didn't cry. Didn't even pace. I just stood still, unmoved, unshaken, and let silence fill the room like a fog. She was choking on it long before I was. Eventually, she stood, her voice flat. I'll stay at Lacey's tonight. I nodded once. Good. She reached for a bag and started stuffing it with clothes like she was the one being wronged. The gall. The absolute gall of it. On her way out, she stopped in the doorway. I know you think this is the end, Logan. But maybe it doesn't have to be. I looked up at her. Oh, it's the end all right. And in my head, I added, just not yours. That night, I didn't sleep. I planned. Some people drink to cope. Some people cry. Me? I spreadsheet betrayal. Step 1. Financials. I opened our joint accounts. Turns out, Chase wasn't just romancing her. He was dining on my dime. Hotel charges. Spa weekends. A pair of designer sunglasses I definitely didn't own but had been charged to our shared Amex. Real subtle, Casanova. Step 2. Employment. Ashley worked in HR. Chase was a senior consultant. On paper, not supposed to be involved. In reality, one ethics complaint away from watching his LinkedIn go up in smoke. Step 3. Friends. Now here's where it got interesting. Her best friend, Lacey, the one she always used as an alibi, turns out she was more of a logbook than a friend. See, Lacey liked wine. And when Lacey drank wine, she got chatty. I called her. Hey Lacey, I said, voice friendly like I wasn't sitting on a crater of rage. Ashley said she was headed to your place. Silence. Then a weak laugh. Yeah, not here yet. It's 2 a.m. Traffic, she tried. From the bedroom to the car? A beat of silence followed. Then she gave in with a sigh. I told her not to go through with it, Logan. I swear. Not to go through with what? She said she was done. That she was going to end things with Chase. Tonight was supposed to be the closure. I smiled, not because I believed her, but because the last nail in the coffin always comes gift-wrapped in guilt. Thanks for your honesty, I said, then hung up before she could unsay it. Step 4. The burn. Now, let me clarify something. Revenge isn't about rage. It's about precision. If you're going to do it, you do it right. So I built a file. Labeled it Exit Plan. Inside, photos, receipts, screenshots, a neatly written timeline of lies, a list of all joint assets, and a notarized draft of what I'd be requesting in the divorce. Custody of the dog. House in my name. Her car? Leased in mine. She could Uber with her dignity. I emailed it to a divorce lawyer named Marla Kane. Found her on a referral site under the category, Takes No Prisoners. Marla replied in under 10 minutes. Mr. Hale, I don't usually respond this late, but after reading your file, I'm intrigued. Shall we talk at 9 a.m.? Marla was my kind of person. Morning came, and Ashley hadn't returned. I assumed she was somewhere in Chase's penthouse gym pretending their relationship was built on anything more than adrenaline and bad decisions. I brewed coffee. Then I did the pettiest thing I've ever done in my life. I logged into her Pinterest account. Yeah, that's right. While she was out sabotaging a marriage, I was deleting her wedding boards, unfollowing bridal influencers, and replacing her dream homes list with trailer park listings from out of state. You may call it petty. I call it therapy. Then I went into our shared calendar and added an event. Final showdown, divorce filing day with snacks, and invited her to it. By noon, the file had been printed, signed, and sent to Marla. Revenge doesn't have to be bloody. Sometimes it's paperwork. I didn't flinch when Ashley walked back into the house 3 days later like nothing happened. No dramatic entrance. No makeup smudged with guilt. Just a Target bag in one hand and an iced coffee in the other, as if she'd run out for batteries and oat milk instead of detonating a marriage. She barely made it past the foyer when she stopped cold. There it was. A manila envelope on the entry table. Clean. Sealed. My handwriting on the front. Read. Carefully. She hesitated. Maybe part of her thought it was a love letter. Some grand gesture of reconciliation, the kind of thing you see on a TV show where the husband comes crawling back, apologizing for not being more present, while his wife was busy getting emotionally present with someone named Chase. She opened the envelope. Her eyes skimmed over the first page, then the second. Her hand started to shake somewhere around the property division summary. Halfway through the custody clause for Bruno, the dog, she dropped the coffee. Are you serious? She asked, like the joke just wasn't landing for her. Oh, deadly, I said, stepping out from the kitchen. That's a draft from Marla Kane. I'm guessing you've never heard of her. Judges sure have. Ashley looked at me like I'd just kicked a kitten. You filed for divorce? No, I said. I'm finalizing it. That was me being nice. Giving you the outline. She stared at the papers like they were written in fire. You're doing this just to hurt me. No, I said, grabbing a towel and mopping up the spilled coffee without breaking eye contact. You already did the hurting. I'm just building the exit ramp. She folded her arms, still trying to play chess in a game she didn't realize was already over. I don't understand how you can throw away years of our life together over one mistake. One mistake. I tilted my head. See, that's the thing, Ash. If it were one, I might have still walked away with a limp. But you didn't make one mistake. I held up her tablet. You made 218. That's how many text messages I counted before I stopped scrolling. She looked like she wanted to say something. Probably that I was invading her privacy. But she knew better than to try that defense in a burning house. I wasn't done. There's more. The financials. Hotel receipts charged to our joint account. The spa weekend you said was a work retreat? Nice touch. You've been spying on me? No, I said. I've been documenting you. She blinked. Her face was doing this thing where it cycled through shock, anger, and a weird kind of disbelief. As if she was only now realizing I wasn't the man she thought she married. No, I was smarter, calmer, colder. That afternoon, I had her sit down at the kitchen table. I didn't raise my voice, didn't gloat, I just laid everything out like I was pitching a new investment strategy. You can contest this, of course, but the evidence is solid. The court will see the infidelity, the asset misuse, and the timeline. If you push back, we go public. I'm prepared. She sat there, quiet. For the first time in a long time, Ashley had nothing to say. So I kept going. You're going to move out. You can keep your car, your clothes, and your dignity, what's left of it. You're going to sign the agreement by Friday, and you're going to walk away. Ashley's jaw clenched. And if I don't? I smiled. Then we go with plan B. She looked at me, brow furrowed. Which is? I slid a second envelope across the table. She opened it. Photos. Screenshots. A copy of the company's ethics policy. An anonymous email, ready to send, addressed to her HR department. Her face drained. You'd ruin my career? I leaned in. No, Ashley. You did. I just did the math. She didn't cry. I think she was too stunned for that. The crocodile tears would come later. But in that moment, she saw the truth. I wasn't the doormat. I was the door closing. After she left the kitchen, I sat down on the couch and stared at the blank TV screen. My reflection looked back at me, tired. Yes, but steady. Like a man who'd walked through fire and realized he didn't burn. I should have been angry. Maybe I was. Somewhere deep in the muscle memory of my clenched jaw and the way my fingers drummed against the cushion. But mostly, I was free. For the first time in months, maybe years, I didn't feel like I was trying to save something that wanted to drown. Ashley didn't come home that night. I assumed she was at Chase's, nursing whatever fantasy she still had left. That was fine. Let her believe the worst was behind her. Because what she didn't know, there was a part 2 to plan B. Something poetic. She'd made a mockery of loyalty. So I made a spectacle of exposure. With one click, I sent the anonymous file to the company's compliance officer. I knew from a little harmless LinkedIn research that Chase was in line for a promotion, pending a clean record. Oops, not anymore. At 7 a.m. the next morning, my phone buzzed. Not Ashley. Not Chase. Lacey, the one who used to cover for her. Her message was short. You're not who I thought you were. I smiled at the screen. Exactly. Ashley didn't show up to sign the papers that Friday, which was fine, because Chase didn't show up to work either. Turns out, when your HR department receives a well-organized package with time-stamped photos, corporate card abuse, and a printed copy of the company's no fraternization clause, things start moving faster than your lawyer can hit reply all. From what I gathered through the grapevine, read Lacey's Twitter, which she forgot I followed. Chase was suspended pending an internal ethics investigation, which is corporate speak for, he's toast, but we have to let legal chew on him first. Ashley tried to call me later that night. Twice. I let it ring. Not because I was trying to prove a point. I just didn't feel like inviting chaos to the party I was throwing for my own peace. Then came the third call, this time from a blocked number. I picked up out of curiosity. Her voice came through, small and sharp. Did you do this? Define this, I said, leaning back in my chair. Chase got suspended. I let that hang there. Silence is a beautiful mirror. You sent the email, didn't you? She asked, trying to hold the thread together. No, I said. I wrote it. The email sent itself. She sighed. You don't have to destroy his life, Logan. I blinked slowly. Oh, that's where we are now. His life is the tragedy here. You're better than this, she snapped. No, I said evenly. I'm just this. The difference is, now you're seeing it. She went quiet for a moment. Then, her voice softened. Look, I know I hurt you. But this isn't you. She was right. It wasn't the old me. This was the version of me that buried the old one. With a shovel made of evidence and a tombstone that read, Here lies the man who thought love meant loyalty was guaranteed. The next day, I got a call from Marla, my lawyer. Chase Donovan's attorney reached out, she said with a chuckle. Wants to talk defamation. Apparently, someone sent your file to the firm's board. Oh no, I said, mock horror in my voice. Sounds like whoever did that was very organized. Marla laughed. Don't worry. They have no case. Truth is a defense. And you documented the truth exquisitely. That's what marriage taught me, I said. How to curate chaos. Marla was quiet for a moment. Then she added, You know, most of my clients fall apart at this stage. You're not. I sipped my coffee. That's because I already did. This is the rebuild. Ashley came by the house 2 days later. She didn't knock. Just let herself in like it was still hers. I was in the garage, organizing tools I hadn't touched in years. She stood in the doorway like a ghost visiting the site of her own funeral. I lost my job, she said. I nodded. Yeah. HR doesn't usually reward scandal with vacation time. I didn't think you'd actually follow through. That got a smile out of me. I think that's been the theme of our marriage, hasn't it? You not thinking I'd follow through. She stepped inside. I'm sorry. I know. Her eyes searched my face for something. Sympathy, softness, even just the faintest memory of who we used to be. But I wasn't the museum she remembered. I was the wrecking crew. You think this makes you the better person? She asked suddenly, the edge in her voice returning. No, I said. But it makes me free. She flinched, like the word had physical weight. So that's it. You just cut everything out? No therapy, no talking it through, no. No pretending, I interrupted. That ended when you put his name in your phone under Stacy. She opened her mouth, closed it. That was the last conversation we ever had in that house. By the end of the week, Ashley had moved into a one-bedroom apartment near her sister. Lacey, of all people, helped her pack. I watched from the window as they loaded up her little silver SUV, the one I'd paid off 6 months earlier. She never looked up. Bruno sat beside me, tail thumping like a metronome. He didn't whine. He didn't bark. Just watched her go with those golden retriever eyes that say we forgive, but we don't forget. Smart dog. I thought maybe I'd feel lonely. I didn't. The silence was different now. It wasn't heavy. It was earned. I started sleeping better. Cooking again. Cleaning out closets that still held pieces of the lie I used to call a life. Each drawer was a mini exorcism. Old anniversary cards. Vacation souvenirs. A photo strip from a booth in Santa Cruz where we were both pretending not to notice how dead our smiles looked. I boxed it all up. Drove it to a donation bin at midnight. Let some stranger inherit the props from our play. But just when I thought the curtain had dropped for good, fate handed me an encore. One evening, I got an email from a burner account. No subject line. Just a message. Check the folder. You missed something. Attached was a Dropbox link. Curiosity beat caution. Inside, dozens of photos. Chase and Ashley. Same hotel, different dates. Some with timestamps before I even suspected a thing. But what caught my eye wasn't them. It was another woman. Same restaurant. Same booth. Chase wasn't a one-woman man. He was a hobbyist. Ashley wasn't betrayed. She was recycled. And now, she was alone. The Dropbox folder was a digital slap. Dozens of photos. Time-stamped. Clear as day. Ashley, Chase, and a parade of other women. Chase was prolific. And careless. Same booth at that rooftop lounge. Same smug grin. Different red dresses. The kind of man who doesn't cheat for love. He cheats for sport. So I did what any man with a grudge and a full battery would do. I downloaded everything. I forwarded the folder to Ashley. Subject line, you were never special. Just next. She didn't reply. Not immediately. But a day later, her sister called me. Apparently, Ashley was in a bad place. Yeah, I imagine betrayal cuts deeper when you realize the sword you stabbed with was already blood-stained. But that wasn't my problem anymore. I had one more play to make. The grand finale. And believe me, I had saved my best card for last. Chase had a wife. Of course he did. Her name was Madison. Graphic designer. 2 kids. Lived in a glass-box modern home just 15 minutes from the very hotel Chase used as his personal playground. You'd think Ashley might have noticed the tan line where his ring used to be. But infatuation's a great blindfold. I paid Madison a visit. Not unannounced. This wasn't a soap opera. I emailed her first. Gave her the Cliff Notes, minus the theatrics. Told her I had proof. Told her she could ignore me if she wanted. She didn't. We met at a coffee shop. Neutral ground. She was sharper than I expected. No tears. Just straight to business. Show me, she said, and I did. The photos. The receipts. The messages. She scrolled through in silence. No dramatics. Just a slow nod. That son of a, she muttered. Then paused. I needed this. I thought I was going crazy. You're not, I said. You were just married to a performance artist. She smiled faintly. What do you want from me? Nothing, I replied. But I figured you deserve to know what kind of man lives in your house. She closed the folder and met my eyes. Well, what if I do want something from you? She pulled out her phone and showed me a court order. Divorce proceedings had already started. Apparently Chase had been distant since April. Guess he wanted you gone before his promotion came through, I said. She shook her head. He's going to lose everything. And now, thanks to this, he'll lose more. We shook hands. And for the first time in months, I felt closure click into place, not like a door slamming shut, but like a vault locking tight. Ashley called. 3 rings. Then voicemail. Then again. I finally picked up. Logan, she said, voice raw. You sent the photos. To you? Sure. To his wife? She found them herself. I lied. You're really enjoying this, aren't you? No, I said. But I'm satisfied. There's a difference. You don't know what I've been through. I laughed. Ashley, you put me through it. The only thing you've been through is your own reflection. She went quiet. I lost everything, she whispered. No, I said. You just finally got what you gave. Click. No more goodbyes. No more monologues. Just silence. A week later, I posted on my private blog. The one none of them knew I ran. Title: How I Survived My Wife's Affair and Why I Don't Regret Burning It Down. It didn't name names. I'm not cruel. But it told the whole story. With wit. With honesty. With surgical calm. And when people shared it, commented, sent messages of support in their own stories, I realized something. This wasn't just about Ashley. It was about every man who ever got blindsided and told to take the high road. Sometimes, the high road is closed for repairs. Take the clever road instead. It's been 4 months since the papers were signed. I moved into a smaller place, clean, sunlit, no shared closets with ghosts. Bruno adapted quickly. Dogs don't dwell. They just adjust. I work out more now. Sleep better. Laugh harder. Because when the worst already happened, you stop fearing what's next. Ashley sent me one final email. It read, I hope one day you can forgive me. I didn't reply. Not out of bitterness. Just because I already had. Forgiveness doesn't mean reunion. Sometimes it means you stop carrying the weight someone else handed you. Last week, I saw Chase downtown. Alone. No fancy shirt. No confidence. Just a man walking with the posture of someone who finally realized actions do have consequences. He looked right at me. I nodded. He looked away. That was the last page. No speech. No confrontation. Just the truth, walking on 2 very different sidewalks. I didn't lose. I learned. And now, I'm building something new. Not out of ashes, but with concrete. Plans. Boundaries. And yes, maybe someday love again. But this time, no blindfolds. Only windows. And locks.